about
I'm
today.
okay enough to be
Yeah.
here.
If everybody
And
could be
I-
seated.
Just that I'm trying to get up.
Trudy?
Trudy.
Meeting on the order.
Welcome to the July meeting of the Transit Riders Council. There's an awful lot to talk about today, not to mention our agenda, which is a heavy agenda. I don't know why we were redirected to this room, but it's not a bad room, and there's apparently better phone and internet access in here anyway, so.
And everybody should read their agendas because the rooms can change from month to month. So you should check before you come.
Yes, it does seem to change from month to month. So, may we have an approval of today's agenda? Great. How about the minutes? Any corrections, deletions, additions? Edith,
Well, some confusion,
something?
a confusion.
Okay.
Carol
I didn't.
is quoted as saying, it makes it sound like the driver has some discretion
I didn't even say.
in the route planning,
You're misquoted.
as to how he
Guess
picks
you were
up
misquoted.
people. And that is not the way it happened.
Okay, can I give a suggestion,
Yes.
make a suggestion? Here's what I'd like to suggest, we amend the time point, to say, when brought, originally, well, I can read the original, you want me to read the
I
original?
don't
or just
know if I said it.
Okay, so I'm saying, when drivers go out of the way to pick up someone who is not an AAR client, it makes service horrible. And Kate Cafiero, Poland,
I don't remember saying that. So can we verify that?
yeah, we can, I mean, I
We'll check
thought
the,
you said,
we'll check the
there
tape.
was a comment that somebody went and picked up their girlfriend on the way to a pickup.
We could say what Warner Wolf used to say, let's go to the
We
videotape.
can go to the video, but,
But if the driver's picking up his girlfriend, that's a fireable violation.
yes.
And if
Right.
that's,
I don't think we got into that, but
I would like us to.
that's, yeah.
What's fireable?
I don't think we had a,
Picking up your girlfriend, in
Oh,
other
okay.
words, providing a ride to an individual who is not certified and is not scheduled.
right,
And maybe taking up a seat.
well,
There are so many transgressions on the accessoride.
Mhm.
Some of it came up at the board.
Yes.
Um,
Was it fun?
Oh, I'll tell you, people not being treated properly, people being cursed at, unbelievable some of the stuff.
A lot of who?
And that's why there's gonna be lots of undercover riders, I've been told.
You know, that goes on regular buses also.
Oh, I know. So, all right, so we will check the tape and adjust that part as needed. Any other corrections to the minutes? Do you want to give a conditional approval pending what we find on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion to any correction to be approved.
Oh, I think conditional approval is probably.
Conditional approval.
Conditional approval, and there's a second to that. All right, let's go into the chair's report. Well, I'm sure that members have heard Tuesday of this week, Chairman Loda released his subway action plan. And actually, he was called a lot of other names yesterday, like Lahoda. I mean, they put all kinds of syllables in it, a lot of names. Yeah.
One called him Lahoda.
Yeah. Some people.
No,
Yeah, Yoda.
Yoda's
late
much
enough
better.
I like Yoda.
You see the Times article today with the 4 cartoons?
I did not see it yet.
Page 1 of the New York section.
Yeah.
The chairman was charged with developing a plan within the first 30 days of his leadership of the MTA, and within the first 60 days, he's going to produce a review of the MTA's 2015 to 2019 capital plan. We have given members a list of the actions that are part of the first phase of the plan, and they are extensive, and that's this sheet, phase 1. It's divided into 5 categories: signals and track, cars, stations, and communications, and management. The actions in each of these categories are designed to enhance the rider's experience in the short term, with results being seen in the system within a year. Actually, some of these results could be seen much, much more quickly. There is also a second phase of the plan which the chairman did not discuss in great detail. He has promised to provide more info on this second phase, which will incorporate input input from the Genius Challenge. Remember that? That's coming up, and focus on the future modernization of the system. I'll touch upon some of the reaction to the plan in my board report, and we can discuss it further under new business. Speaking of the Genius Transit Challenge, I and several members of our staff attended a half-day conference on the Genius Challenge on June 29th. The presentation featured the governor and top MTA management who spoke on the challenges facing the subway system. Also in attendance were panels of international experts, the members of which were there to share their experience with creating and operating a modern mass transportation system with the MTA, and challenge participants, some of whom were from the Paris Metro, some Italian systems, and elsewhere. Interestingly, with all of the emphasis on new technologies and paradigms in the Genius Challenge, one of the most striking pieces of advice from the international experts was that transit operators should rely on tried and true systems to provide the best service to riders. This statement was probably appreciated by the many reps of top engineering and transportation consulting firms and transit equipment suppliers in attendance. It was probably the majority of the room, I would say.
almost,
Yeah.
I would say we were some of the few people that
I
weren't.
wonder why they were happy
They
with
were
that
from
idea.
consulting firm.
The deadline for submissions is August 11th, so there is still time, folks, with finalists chosen for further presentations in the month after the submission deadline. An important question in all of the discussion over improving subway performance is, as is often the case, who will provide the additional resources necessary to stabilize
Excuse
and...
me, guys. I can't hear Angelo here.
Oh, okay, sorry. Let me start that sentence. An important question in all of the discussion over improving subway performance is, as is often the case, who will provide the additional resources, and we're talking financial resources, necessary to stabilize and modernize the subway system. If you saw the front of one of today's New York papers, you know who doesn't want to do that. One possible answer is provided by the Subway Action Plan, which proposes that the city and state each bear 1/2 of the cost of additional materials and personnel needed to carry out the Phase 1 recommendations. Governor Cuomo has agreed to this division of responsibility, but Mayor de Blasio has to date refused to make additional contributions, citing uncertainty over the use of funds that the city has already committed to the system. And if you heard his statement upon the launch of the Astoria leg of the NYC Ferry, he said, ferries and light rail are good because they take people off the roads and off the subways. Why would the mayor want to take people off the subways?
And the Cranes article did how much it costs to carry someone on a subway versus how much it costs.
The ferry is very
Yeah.
heavily
The Cranes
subsidized.
article is very nice.
If that money had gone to the MTA, we could be seeing a lot of additional service, but because the two of them hate each other.
You need several thousand.
And unless you're traveling from ferry landing to ferry landing, you need another fare to get where you're going. With the disagreement between the governor and mayor at such a high level, it will take some delicate diplomacy to develop a financial solution that the city and state can agree upon. And I believe eventually they will get together. The subway and the commuter rail system and the bus system is much too important to the city and the economic vitality of the region, and they have to come together, otherwise they're both gonna be thrown, yeah.
I've got a question on the subway action
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the details, which I'm gonna touch on some of it.
Does anyone talk about the financial cost of this?
Oh, yes, he's given out all the
That's a lot
numbers.
of
It's 800, the part one is 800
That's out there.
something million.
All is great.
Phase
No,
one.
not all of it.
Phase one,
Just
Bert.
Phase one.
Yeah, about 830, about
Yeah.
830 million.
839 or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
839, yeah.
But
Yeah.
first of all, I would like to thank all of you, Paul, Rose, or anything else, during my accident, during my
Absence.
recuperation, my absence or whatever. But, and I haven't looked at all the minutes yet, but what you just said about the cost of the ferry and have we gone on record with any of this in terms of our
We have not,
position
because
that-
we haven't had it, I don't like to take positions before we've discussed it here.
Oh, so we're gonna be discussing it today?
We can if you want to.
I would like us to, because what you said about the ferry, even though I was flat on my back for quite some time, I felt I did not stop running.
I'm not opposed to ferries, mind you. I'm opposed to,
No, it is the saying that the ferry can take the place of, and the cost of the ferry when you need the money for improving what you have.
let me be Trudy, as an example, the ferry from the Rockaways is hourly. It takes an hour, or half hour maybe, rush hour. It takes an hour. The A train takes an hour and gives you, and runs every 6 to 8 minutes, depending on what branch of the Rockaway Peninsula you're on, and gives you connections, unlimited connections. The ferry does not do that. In addition, the Rockaway ferry, by necessity, is on the Jamaica Bay side of the Rockaway Peninsula. In bad winter conditions, Jamaica Bay freezes over.
All I'm saying is with that and other things that we can discuss.
It's wonderful in the summer, but
I would hope that we would go on record, if we haven't already.
we can discuss that,
To
Trudy.
talk about that, and also the cost per ride on a ferry as opposed, and the fact that a lot of people taking ferries then have to pay, there's no transfer.
No?
And so it's costing the customer double.
Yes, it is.
If there's a sort of thing, then.
Well, the East River Ferry was $5-something a ride. The fact that it's being subsidized to $2.75 a ride is an incredible subsidy. And a New York company was not chosen to supply the ferry either. That's a whole other issue, but we won't.
Yeah, well,
Let me
that's
try to go
why-
on.
As long as we
Hello.
can discuss this, Jeff.
Hey,
It's one of the reasons.
hi guys. After a half-year hiatus working at Google, I've returned.
I see that.
Better than ever.
tough.
Now, Ellen and I sent you letters that I wrote to you back in March. You went to the NTA board back in March detailing my experience there. And particularly the 3 particular managers there that made it an enjoyable experience. I already mentioned their names yesterday at the
Okay,
board.
could.
But yes,
Let me just get through the board, my report, okay?
I'll get to the point. The ferry, yeah,
We'll be back to you.
needs to be reformed. All right.
Despite the disagreement over finances, it's clear we have to do something. In the month since we last met, there have been 2 derailments and a track fire that produced major disruptions in the subway system. The derailments both appear to be related to a failure to follow proper maintenance procedures, while the track fire was fed by the buildup of a large amount of litter between 135th and 145th Street stations in Upper Manhattan. The lower level of 145th Street was where the smoke was apparently, and it affected the A and the C on the upper level as well as the B and the D on the lower level.
Do you know why, if you, just the vacuum trains or something like that coming, why was there a,
I don't know, but you know that the movement of the trains propels debris through the tunnels and just lands in places where there's no wind after a while. Next Monday, and by the way, for people that say the system, has been ignored and that's why we had this derailment, we actually do replace track. And this was a bad section of track that caused the Q train derailment. So, anyway, I don't know.
Andrew?
Yeah, they don't have a report on it yet, Bert, but it's coming.
Andrew?
Yes.
As I live right there, not far from the Q train, and I want to thank Bill also.
It's like the Academy Awards here. There's so many people I'd like to thank.
No, but seriously, I did want, let's just say this. That train, it was funny about this Q train. The one thing that everyone said when the train stopped, there was two people I know who was on that train, said they felt more secure because the way the train just went to lock procedure, it means stall like some kind of emergency brake, it just went dead. So therefore, that train to me, and then they got another train behind them, got the people out. It felt like it was like training time for them.
I was in a board briefing, sitting right next to the chairman when the derailment occurred. It was very nice, he leaned over to me and said, the system better than anyone. Is that elevated or underground? It's elevated.
Well, technically it wasn't Brighton Beach. It was
Yeah,
she
but he
said
said
that.
Brighton Beach. But in any event, they had to rush out, and yesterday, or at the committee meetings on Monday, we were told that something on the truck of that R160 car malfunctioned, and so I asked, has there now been an immediate inspection of all the trucks on all R160s? And Lincoln Haversham said, yes, that's begun, and they're almost done with that. So that's at least something. But the response to the derailment, the fact that they brought another train very quickly up to it and removed the passengers and got it out of the way. Unfortunately, the news media, in their rush to get things on the air, both the New York Post and New York One had Due to the Q train derailment, B train service is now only running from 145th Street to Kings Highway. There is no B train service between Kings Highway and Coney Island. So of course I called up the Post and New York One and I said, the B train never goes to Coney Island. You gotta-
I looked at the other one, I looked at them like,
They can't get
what are
this
you
stuff right.
doing? The B never goes to Coney unless it's going to Betty by Boo Boo.
Right.
And second of all, it was also on the website.
Going to the yard, it's one
And
thing.
then he said to
Right.
me, oh, it's on the website. I'm looking on my phone, like, yo, why is it on the
But
website?
we have so
Whose
much, let me
website?
try to get through this.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's a whole other issue. Thank you.
Next Monday,
I would like to
Oh.
come back to the uptown derailment at some point.
Sure.
Which is the total,
talking about A train now?
yeah,
Okay.
what they did to the shuttles.
Yep, yep. Next Monday, work will begin on the Coney Island bound platforms at 9 stations between Fort Hamilton Parkway and 86th Street. This is, of course, the N line. Situation will be similar to arrangements for work that concluded recently on the Manhattan bound platforms earlier this year. Repairs will also be done on retaining walls between stations during this outage, and is that ever overdue if anyone who's ridden the Sea Beach line? Wow. On July 2nd, that's not true. No, June 27th, the
Yeah,
date of
June
Dr. H's
27th,
retirement party.
And other points.
Oh, well. On June 27th, the South Ferry Station reopened to riders almost 5 years after it was flooded by Superstorm Sandy.
Yep.
The rebuilt station includes hardening measures to protect the station from coastal flooding, storm flooding, including retractable flood doors at station entrances and 6,000-pound steel marine flood doors throughout the station, as well as hardening of other entry points for water, including vents, manholes, hatches, conduits, and air ducts. Anyone who saw the original new South Ferry Station before Superstorm Sandy remembers the beautiful artwork that was on the walls. That has not been put in this station, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's nice, and you know it gives you a 2-track terminus, and it's ADA accessible, and all of that stuff. But it's not as beautiful as the first one. But we needed it back, and it's great that it's back. ADA accessibility is back. 7 escalators, 2 elevators. It's great. We'll be taking our annual field trip in August, and details will be provided to members once arrangements are finalized. As is our usual practice, we will try to schedule the field trip on our normal meeting day, but we'll start before noon, so those who wish can join us for an informal lunch. Just one page, right?
It's just one
That's it.
front back.
Yeah.
Nothing to that station.
No.
Oh,
No, the thing we initially tried did not work out, and we're working on a backup right now.
So, okay, I hear you. So, as far as the plan that was announced, expedited signal repair is part of that plan. That is of obviously vital importance. Anybody that travels frequently can see that the length of your trip time varies day by day. It's not the same anymore. The trip that I used to take, and today was great, by the way. Today was like the old days. Today I got down here in almost under 20 minutes, but it has ranged from 20 to 40 to 50. I've been held in stations without explanations except that really annoying, we're delayed due to train traffic ahead of us recording.
Right.
Sometimes now they're coming on, live conductors are. They've been told not to do that, and you're getting an actual better update.
They announced in communications on this sheet, because one of the things
I was going to touch on that when we get to that.
that Joe spoke about when he did his interview on New York One was that they were going to stop that within.
Yes, and some people have stopped.
But it doesn't say that in the 5.4 communications. That is not listed as.
I'm going to get to communications in a second. So, the signal repair is obviously vitally important. The emergency water management part of the plan, water is seeping. I mean, Joe, you know, he hasn't been here for a few years, but he's always amazed, as are others, to hear that, you know, 13,000 gallons of water enter the system on a day when it's not raining, even. And we really need to. We really have to. Some of it is because of third-party access from buildings above you and burst.
It's the water underneath.
There is that part too, and it's an invitation to rodents. It's bad. Kevin, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, so 13,000 gallons.
I think it's
Thousands.
a
Million.
thousand, yeah.
Anything about the ground. You know, 125th Street. Yeah, hurts.
Oh, yeah, but we're not on that part yet. We're gonna get to the derailment.
And also the other train control. Wow.
You're not talking about positive train control for the subways? No. You don't mean CBTC, do you? Because positive train control is for the commuter rails and, you know, intercity trains. It's not for subways. We're using CBTC on the subway. Never get through. The seat removal pilot, which is a pilot for the L train and the Grand Central Times Square shuttle. This is the one part that I'm not in agreement with on this plan. I know you can shove 4 people on a train if you remove seats, and I know that the 2 cars of the trains that are going to have this pilot will be wrapped so you'll know exactly which cars they are, so if you want a seat you won't head to those cars. But I really think running the trains more frequently and fixing the signals and getting less delays and getting better throughput is the answer, not depriving people of seats. You know, people work hard all day, some people cannot stand, some people are pregnant, some people have disabilities. I just don't believe we should be removing seats. And I've expressed that, but, and the situation in Boston where they tried it was not entirely successful.
But using the shuttle as a test station, the shuttle ride is about 3 minutes, and that, you know, anybody can stand for 3 minutes. But I'm saying that that's going to be a test case, it just doesn't make sense. Was that pointed out at all?
I think the shuttle was selected because it is quick and people could sort of get used to the idea on a
Many
ferry.
people stand rather than sit.
They do.
So they can run out the door.
They do.
Yeah, but that
They do.
is not a test to see that it's going to be a long ride from, like, where I live down to here. That's slightly different.
The L train, I am sure, was selected because it is one of the only lines at the moment with CBTC, and thus the service is quite frequent, every 2 minutes at times, and, you know,
Well, when are they gonna test this? Are they shutting it down to repair it?
2019, so the test will be before that, obviously.
I think where it applies more is those cases where they're at onboard capacity and they're at full track capacity. And at that point, maybe taking seats out is the only alternative, but aside from that, it's
During this announcement, somebody sent me an email that said, forget removing the seats, how about a no backpack ban?
yeah, there you
You
go.
know how much more, you know how much more room you would get?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure
You can't do
that,
that.
I am sure.
That would be because what-
System-wide station cleaning is something that I'm sure everybody will applaud. It's not beautiful down there. There are a lot of, some stations, all stations are not created equal.
Yeah.
Some are much dirtier, some get more attention than others. Just because a station has lighter ridership doesn't mean it shouldn't be clean and functioning and free of litter. And speaking of litter, the chairman also talked about launching a massive anti-littering campaign. There is an awful lot of litter in the track beds, which obviously causes fires, it attracts rodents. Anybody that has been to 34th Street and 6th Avenue and looks at the express tracks on the B and D, you cannot believe how much trash is in those tracks. And that's with vacuum trains and the new hand vacs and all of that. I mean, it's a big shopping district, I understand it gets a lot of shoppers, but I saw, you know,
People are
I
paid.
saw a rat enjoying a really delicious Starbucks drink down in the track bed. It was sipping, you know, like, it was just missing the barista. It was really enjoying it. So, station cleaning and the anti-littering campaign is obviously very important. Yeah.
Have they given up on trash cans?
No, and they're not taking them out again. That pilot failed. That failed. They put the trash cans in those 6.
Failed.
It should have failed, absolutely.
They announced that.
Let's make it more difficult for people to keep it
Yeah.
there. That's real.
If you can get on your computer, Joe Logan's, it was almost a half-hour interview with Earl on a New York one, I guess it was Monday, Tuesday, I don't know, it was this week. You know, lying flat on your back, you watch it on television. But it was really, he handled it so well, and he covered all of these topics and then some. And it should be streaming on, you know, inside, no, of the road to City Hall.
Yeah. Continuous welded rail in more places, obviously, they're putting that in, but welded rail is much less wear and tear on the cars we have. It's much, you have to do less wheel truing if you have welded rail. It makes for a more comfortable ride. Of course, on the 2nd Avenue subway, anybody that's ridden it, you can feel that's the smoothest anywhere in the system because it has those dampers under the tracks. I mean, it's like you're in another city when you're riding on the 2nd Avenue line. It's so smooth. I've heard people commenting. So more continuous welded rail is coming. 2,700 more maintenance workers. Apparently, during those very, very unfortunate June 27th of 2010 massive service cuts that everybody remembers, all of these maintenance workers were laid off, and they never have been brought back yet. And they're going to be brought back. That should make a massive difference in track inspections, in performing work on the rail joints, on replacing rail, on all of that. I couldn't believe it when I heard that even though a lot of the service that we lost in 2010 has been brought back, and then in some cases even more than we had, the workers haven't been brought back. So everybody is having to do more with less, and that's no good.
They switched to 90 days inspections instead of 30 days.
However,
And you wonder why we're.
However, I was very heartened to hear that all 600 some odd miles of track are visually inspected twice a week. That's very good. Of track.
That's it.
It wasn't enough to stop that derailment between Sheepshead Bay and Brighton Beach, but, all right, so those workers are coming back.
Congratulations.
The trains are not running. Some trains are not running. No trains and no bus. Some buses cuts.
Yeah, well,
You're talking about from the 2010 service cuts?
Yes.
Not everything has been brought back, obviously.
a lot has,
A
a
lot
lot
has.
has.
But some, and even some additional things have happened on Long Island that,
You know why is service cuts no train? So for me, I live on Prospect Avenue.
okay. Well, you're a big advocate for bringing the Brown M back. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. He's got,
Oh, Kevin
got
Zeng's
this.
here.
Could you
Hey.
introduce this young man to us?
Kevin, introduce yourself so people know who you are.
My name is Kevin,
And
and formerly live on Prospect Avenue for a long time. Now I live in Brighton Beach in 2015.
are you a transit bus, or how do you say no?
Meeting.
All right, let's move on. We have so much to talk about today. Longer trains on the C, and I'm hopeful on the G as well. The C does not have the normal complement of cars. There's frequent standing room. Of course, it doesn't run often enough either. They're going to be extending C trains and other trains that are not the normal length.
How is that going to impact the midpoint?
The midpoint of,
The boarding areas?
it should not affect that at all. It's just going to be a longer train. You'll still board where you did.
No, only if they make the train closer at both ends. You know, if you take a train,
Yeah.
currently has 6 cars,
Right?
and it stops at some point in relation to, say, the north end. If the train stops still at that point, the midpoint of the car will be further back
You mean the midpoint of the train?
of the train.
Yeah.
Therefore, they have to move all of the signs currently from the ceiling.
Unless they
As
are
far as
on
the
one end.
ADA access?
Yes, because they've raised the center of that platform. And if the front of the train is at some point close to, say, the north end, hypothetically, will then they come back and redo that?
Know why I'm making a face, Edith? Because,
I can't see that far.
okay, I know, the lights. I'm thinking that the motorman, has these little things in the tunnel for 6 and 8 and 10, and so that tells him where he or she, where they should stop. So for the train to be in the right place. But I'm trying to remember a station that has the ADA so close to one end that this would make a big difference. Because usually the ADA is more towards the center of a platform, is it not?
Okay, Andrew, let's pretend 1, 2, 3, 4 from Bill to, or 4 people, there are 4
Yep.
cars.
Yep.
Okay, the question I'm asking is, if you then take Marisol, and I can't see how far you are you adding that, and they're still topping and stopping close to the end, you've now moved the midpoint to the 3rd person. And you fixed the platform to raise that platform at that point. Now, are you going to have, where is the front of the train going to stop?
See, do you want to say something, Bill?
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of those already have the 10-car stopping point delineated. I think the only place it would be a problem is if there's not enough room to put 1 car on either end of the,
Because at this point, they have been
either
so
end of the
bad.
8-car train, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
they've been
why
so
would
bad lately about
I don't
not
think it's-
stopping. Seriously, I know when I come downtown from 177, I'm a full car ahead of the zone. When I'm coming uptown,
Ahead
and
of
I'm
meetings further north or further south even?
it's the lowest point, the lowest car for the gap is south,
Okay. And on the southbound platform? we're
on a
talking.
southbound platform.
Okay.
On the northbound platform, it's about half a car. And people are constantly going crazy because they're standing there. And that's now a high point
And
instead of a low
and we're
point.
talking the A train, and that actually has a full complement of cars, so.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that won't change, of course. That won't change at all, yeah,
but the C is like its own world,
yes. And that's why they want to bring it into
compliant.
compliance, exactly.
But wouldn't they, if they just added one, if they're gonna add 2 cars, and they added one on the front and one on the back.
Yes, it has to be
would
pairs.
It would still equal out, rather
I
than
think it
having
would.
2 in the front.
Yeah,
I think it would.
as long as there's a car length
Yeah,
available
yeah,
on either end.
On either end,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
They couldn't answer the question. You already
Edith,
asked. Yes, you did.
wouldn't that solve the problem, if you added one on one end and one on the
Theoretically,
other?
it should. But I mean, for example, when the A is running on the local, don't even try. When the A is running on the local, there is no relationship between the conductor.
Yes,
And
that
the
is
gap.
because the local is used to the length of a C train versus the length of an A train. That will all be now similar and should not be, but okay, I got it. I'll bring it up, Edith.
I'm just raising the question.
Okay, let me move on if I can, please. Clearer service updates and communication. So, the incident, for want of a better word, at Broadway Lafayette on the F train and the derailment in Upper Manhattan on the A train had one thing in common. Both were R46 car equipment. I spoke to the head of subways and said, no announcements were made in either of these. Do these cars have backup power? Because the power was off on in both of these incidents, and they said